time is Ali Pantami from Gombe State. He was a professor of computer information system and head of technical writing at the International Islamic University, Medina, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dr. Pantami.
Thank you very much. The President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmad Lawal, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Ovi Omo Agege, all other principal officers here present, distinguished senators from my beloved state, Gombe State, distinguished Senator Muhammad Danjuma Goje, distinguished Senator Saidu Alkali, distinguished Senator Amos Bulus, Chairman of my committee, distinguished Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, other distinguished senators here present, my friends and associates that joined me on this to this distinguished chamber. Good evening, and may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. Mr. President, sir, I begin by thanking Almighty for blessing me with this golden opportunity to be here in this distinguished chamber today. Then I use the opportunity to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, for finding me worthy of this nomination to be part of his cabinet. I also use the opportunity to thank this distinguished chamber for the opportunity given to me to appear before respected personalities for the screening. I consider this as an honor and I appreciate it. My relationship with this respected chamber has been cordial from the time I joined the National Information Technology Development Agency at official level on one hand and personal on the other. We maintain a very good and cordial relationship that it helped me significantly in promoting and transforming the IT sector in the country. Briefly about my personality, I was, according to my father, I was born and grew up in Pantami quarters of Gombe local government in the Gombe state. Around 20th of October 1972, I was enrolled into a traditional school that we call Sangaya School, Quran School, where I spent more than 4 years there. Later on, I was admitted into primary school, then secondary school, Government Science Secondary School, Gombe. After secondary school, I was sent again to another town where I spent 3 years acquiring religious knowledge. After that, my father sent me to university, a federal University of Technology, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, where I studied computer science as my first degree. After the first degree, I was retained by the university to teach. From the university there, I got my MSc in computer science. I also got MBA in technology management. Later on, I moved to the United Kingdom. I had the privilege of attending Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, Scotland, United Kingdom, where I got my PhD in oil and gas computing. During my stay in the Aberdeen, I had the privilege of teaching and supervising students on the graduate level. After that, I was contacted by Saudi government, where I got an opportunity to go there and teach at the prestigious International Islamic University for 2 years. I happen to be, with all sense of humility, I happen to be the first Nigerian ever to teach in that prestigious university. I also spent many years at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University teaching in the Faculty of Information Technology. I taught there for over a decade. So with this, my background is more into education, then secondly, IT sector, and I partake in a lot of research in oil and gas computing. Furthermore, I had the opportunity of attending Harvard University in the US, where I was trained on digital transformation. I also had another opportunity of attending Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and the IMD, Institute of Management Development in Lausanne, Switzerland, where I was also trained on strategic innovation. Furthermore, I was also at the Cambridge University, where I was trained also on management. So I had the opportunity of attending all these institutions. Part of what I have achieved in academia, particularly at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, I happen to be the pioneer technical staff of Information Technology Development, Information Technology Department, where I champion the development of the entire curriculum of that department. And I had the opportunity of training over 1,000 students in the university in IT-related courses. At least most of them are all over the country, adding value to this great nation. When I traveled to Saudi, I also happened to be among the pioneer staff that established the Faculty of Computer and Information Technology there, and I happened to be the head of a technical writing department as well. On 26 September 2016, the President of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, appointed me to come and be the Director General and the CEO of the National Information Technology Development Agency. I joined the agency on 26 September 2016, and I'm grateful for this honor by the President. As a bloody teacher, I was brought back to the country, and I had the opportunity of contributing my quota towards the development of our country. So I spent at least, I am approaching the third year now at the National Information Technology Development Agency. Part of my achievements in the agency, firstly, is reactivating our responsibility of being the IT clearinghouse for all federal public institutions when it comes to IT projects. That effort alone saved over 16 billion naira for the federal government of Nigeria. This achievement is an unprecedented one. With all sense of humility, I believe that this is something that if it is maintained, it will go a long way in reducing the percentage of IT project failure in the country. Furthermore, part of what we have achieved at the National Information Technology Development Agency within this time frame, we had the opportunity of trying to make sure that we enforce our local content policy, meaning that we are not in any way allowed to patronize foreign IT equipments until and unless if we are convinced beyond reasonable doubt that we have no capacity to do it in Nigeria. But as long as we have the capacity to produce any, or to manufacture, or to develop any software or hardware, then the importation is not allowed. Through that effort alone, what we have achieved in 2017 is unprecedented. In 2013, before I joined the agency, the patronage of our local computers is around 82,000. In 2014, is 92,000. In 2015, is around 92,000. In 2016, 150. But in 2017, with our effort, with our modest effort, we were able to catapult that to around 265,000 within a single year. So this achievement is also unprecedented. In addition, I had the privilege of using the agency with the support of my staff to promote ICT by deploying ICT computers and centers to 246 institutions in Nigeria. In addition, we established 11 world-class virtual libraries in federal universities all over the country. We also established 9 wide area networks all over the country. And we partake in training people of various categories in ICT, including people with disabilities. We train a substantial number of people with disability in Nigeria to the extent that some of them, as of today, establish their ICT centers and they partake in delivering services, and they are being paid by doing that without roaming our streets begging. Furthermore, we introduce a training for women for ICT, where we train women on ICT, we distribute facilities to all of them, and we make sure that at least they are self-reliant. This is something that has been achieved significantly as well. In addition, we also introduce what we call hackathon and future hack, and particularly through our startup program, where we move from one zone to another, from one state to another, identifying our young innovators, those that we see, they have the potentials of making the country proud, to make sure that we mentor them, we guide them, we provide seed funding for them in order to make the country proud. And this we are able to achieve a lot through this process, in addition to our cybersecurity effort. Most importantly, during WannaCry, the National Information Technology Development Agency was the first institution or body in all over the country to notify Nigeria and Nigerians about the potential danger of cyber crime, particularly during the WannaCry attack. And that helped significantly by reducing the gravity of the attack on our nation, to the extent that many developed nations were affected badly. But with the proactive measures we have been taken, that has significantly reduced
the doctor, you can summarize so that we can ask you questions, because there are a lot of people who want to ask you questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think with this I will be able to pause here and entertain the questions. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for asking very important questions, and I will go through the answers.
I'll advise that you just be precise, because there are so many questions to be asked.
Okay, the first question has been asked by the Deputy Leader of the Senate. Firstly, I want to use the opportunity to appreciate your encomiums for our modest effort, and this encourages us to redouble our effort whenever we get any opportunity to serve our country, meaning that what we have been doing has been supervised by this respected chamber. I consider these encomiums as a challenge and encouragement as well to do more, and will not take them for granted. Thank you very much. Secondly, on the questions, before the question that NITDA was under Science and Tech, or rather under Presidency as a department, then Science and Tech, then as an agency under Ministry of Communications. When NITDA was established, it was established just as a department, not under Presidency. It was just a department under the Ministry of Communications. Later on, that is, it was 2001, because the policy that NITDA was to implement was developed in 2000. Then the agency was established by government policy in 2001. So when it was using a policy, it was just a department under the Ministry of Communications. When NITDA got its act from this respected chamber, then it becomes an independent agency, a statutory agency under the supervision of the Ministry of Communications, and this was in 2007. The issue of NigComSat, which is very critical as well, that NigComSat, Nigerian Communication Satellite, is also an agency under the Ministry of Communications. The question is, if I am confirmed by this distinguished chamber, what am I planning to do or to recommend for NigComSat? Is it commercialization or privatization? We will go for commercialization. Is very important. Firstly, because of the fact that many Nigerians look at NigComSat only from the perspective of generating revenue, while the role that NigComSat has been providing in terms of security in this country cannot in any way be quantified. For example, around 2010, 2011, 2013, in Northeast, most importantly Borno and Yobe, there wasn't any network of NTA or Airtel or any other telecoms. Only NigComSat was providing all the satellites required by our Air Force. At that time, the whole Northeast most importantly, security agencies were relying on NigComSat for all their satellites in order to attack or to prevent themselves from attack or to strategize. The role NigComSat has played here, it cannot be quantified using money. So firstly, when we talk about NigComSat, let us look at the role the agency has been playing in terms of supporting our security institutions to deliver their mandate. The reason why I'm against privatization, privatizing NigComSat will endanger the security of our country. Being the only satellite that is providing the images required by our security institution. When we privatize, then by implication, we are subjecting our national security in the hands of those that at least that partake in the privatization process. So because of this, looking at the role NigComSat has been playing in terms of security, it is better to commercialize its activities. That commercialization can support the agency to get something from the services they provide in order to integrate their process. Then secondly, a question has been asked by distinguished Senator Adamo Alero after congratulating me for this nomination. And he asked a very important question as well. What we plan to do with Abuja Technology Village. As he outrightly observed, Abuja Technology Village is not for federal government, it's for FCT, meaning that it's for the Federal Capital Territory. And with this, there is a limit to what we can do. And secondly, what is most important to do in Abuja Technology Village is to make sure that we try to invite investors to come and invest by building their offices or their IT hubs there. And the best way to do that, there are many models in place. For example, we can use Rwanda model. Rwanda, within a period of only 5 years, they were able to become the multinational companies hub in Africa, meaning that there is no nation today in Africa that has the availability and the presence of IT companies like Rwanda. Why? It's because of their policies and laws. Firstly, we need to do a lot in the area of ease of doing business. A lot has been achieved because within a period of 2 years, we were able to catapult our nation to 27 steps higher than where we were. This is a great achievement. However, we need to do a lot. Secondly, many investors are not willing to come to Nigeria to invest. Why? Because of our image. The image is worse than the reality. Many people outside Nigeria feel like if you are in Abuja, you are not safe. You are under threat 24/7. While we live peacefully, there could be challenges, but these challenges are inevitable all over the world. There is no world there is no country that is existing without security challenges. But what we have been reading from outside the country, or the way the image of our country is being portrayed, particularly in media, is not encouraging. It will not in any way do good for us. So I think we need to come together. This is something that all stakeholders must join hands together to see that we clear the image of our country. Thirdly, whenever you want to invite investors to come and invest, there must be an agreement, like tax holiday, maybe for the first year or for the second year. And thirdly, at the initial stage, we should not just be after the profit or the revenue we will get. Let us make sure that they agree to be part and parcel of our country. When that is achieved, then in the next few years, we can come up with some, at least recommendations or agreement on how to start benefiting from their investment. Today, if investors can come to Nigeria and invest and employ Nigerians to work for them, this is another achievement indeed. So I think we need to do a lot in the area of promoting our image, in the area of coming up with so many policies and laws that are investment friendly. They can encourage investors to come to Nigeria and invest. There is no time to discuss on this on a larger scale, but I have a blueprint in place where we can use it to make sure that we invite investors, and with that they will be willing to come to Nigeria and invest. Then the third one is from Senator Abdullahi, Niger State. I also appreciate the encomiums from distinguished senator, and this is a motivation for me to do a lot in the future when given the opportunity. Firstly, the question distinguished Senator asks is about out-of-school children. Firstly, I have been a university teacher for around 14 to 15 years. Secondly, I am also a student throughout my life. Thirdly, I have been teaching kids in our environment since 1988. Fourthly, I am a great beneficiary of acquiring knowledge. With this, I believe that if I am part and parcel of the Federal Executive Council, I will be able to deploy my experience and background to see that we eliminate or rather reduce the number of children out of school significantly. The percentage is so alarming today. And in this area, I think the main responsibility is not only with the federal government. Our states have a role to play because they usually control our primary schools, our secondary schools, and they have many higher institutions. Most of our schools, or rather our states, if you look at the budget for education, is highly insignificant. It's not sufficient. Developed nations today are budgeting 20%, 25%, some even 30% for education. But today in Nigeria, we have states that are budgeting less than 10% of their annual budget. With this,
Mr. President, the candidate has only 2 minutes more.
Continue.
Okay, so firstly, budgetary provision is very important. Secondly, we need to have laws in place that will make taking our children to school mandatory. It's not allowed for anyone to keep his son at home. Thirdly, we should try to advocate for free education. This free education is very important, particularly at primary and secondary level. Fourthly, children that are orphans, let us have a package for them. Besides free education, the system will take care of them, or rather will reduce the pain of losing their parents significantly. If that is provided, I believe it will go a long way. Number three, my respected brother, the question asked by distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hassan of Jigawa, I think about the issue of not only providing ICT for our schools. How can we use ICT to be the method of our teaching? I already have a blueprint in place for that, what we call digital literacy. The whole country must embark on a journey of digital literacy. Today in Nigeria, you can see, with due apology to civil servants, we have many civil servants that do not know how to operate computers. So you cannot come up with a policy of digitalizing everything or making computers to be the way of teaching while there are teachers that are yet to learn how to operate computers. So firstly, our digital literacy should be those that are teaching. We should teach them for a period of time. After that period of time, we make sure that using ICT facilities, most importantly in our towns, before extending to villages, is mandatory, so that exam will be online, teaching will be online. When we make that mandatory, we can continue to expand to other local governments and our villages within the period of even 10 years or thereabout. In place, we can use what we call LKJ model. LKJ model is a combination of 3 cities where you can customize the 3 models in one place and deploy it. Then number 5, question asked by distinguished Senator Barau Jibrin. I'm in support of creating many IT hubs. Currently, we have established around 7 IT hubs in Nigeria. This is very important. Then number 6, question asked by Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, Oyo State. The best way we can do that,
Time up.
to copy South Korea, firstly, we need to learn what we call mentor and mentor.
Mr. President.
That was the 7th ministerial nominee to be screened by the Senate today. Ali Pantami from Gombe State, the Director General of National Information Technology Development Agency. Well, he answered quite a number of questions senators were particularly interested in trying to find out how Nigerian students will improve in their information communication technology. Well, he explained to them that while as a DG